Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are tackling a big yet important topic, the Companies Act of 2013, which is specially for those of you from a non-law background who have this subject in your syllabus for various banking and insurance sector exams. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Companies Act is huge, correct? But do not worry, I will walk you through a smart and structured way to prepare for this act without feeling overwhelmed or without needing to memorize every section number. Let's begin by understanding the purpose of the Companies Act of 2013. This act governs how companies in India are created, managed, financed, and even shut down. But for banking and insurance exams, you're not expected to become a corporate law expert. Your goal is to understand the structure of the act, the logic behind it, and the key provisions that have practical implications, especially those that affect how businesses, banks, and insurers operate. Right? If you don't have a law background, here's how you should approach the Companies Act. First, understand how and why behind every concept. Don't just mug up legal jargons. Understand what it means in the real world. Second, you focus only on chapters that matter, not the entire 400 plus sections. We will cover only the most exam relevant chapters shortly. Third, you prioritize what shows up repeatedly in mocks and PYQs, like definitions, incorporation steps, meetings, audits, and winding up. And that should be your focus area. Now, let's talk about the most important chapters from the Companies Act of 2013 that you must focus on, especially if you're preparing for banking or insurance exams and you do not have a legal background. Like I said before, you don't need to study each and every section of the Act. Instead, you should narrow your focus to chapters that are frequently asked in exams and have practical relevance. Let's go over them one by one. You have your chapter first, which is preliminary. This is where you will find the basic definitions that form the foundation of the entire Act. Terms like company, body corporate, private company, public company are all defined here. These definitions are directly asked in form of MCQs, so they are important to remember in a simple and clear way. Then you have chapter 2, which deals with incorporation of a company. Now, this chapter explains how a company is formed, what documents are required, the roles of memorandum of association and articles of association. Remember, understanding the difference between MOA and AOA and the step by step incorporation process is very important, both from a theoretical as well as application based question point of view. Then you have chapter 4, which deals with share capital and debentures. Now, in this chapter, focus on the types of shares, like equity shares and preference shares, how they are issued. You should also know the basics of debentures, which is a common way companies raise funds. So, a typical question can ask who gets priority in case the company winds up, equity shareholders or preference shareholders. Correct? Then you move on to chapter 7, which deals with management as well as administration. This chapter deals with how companies are managed and specifically the types of meetings held, such as your annual general meetings, your extraordinary general meetings, and the kinds of resolutions which are passed therein. So you must understand when these meetings are held, who attends them, and what kind of decisions are made, right? Then you have chapter 9 and 10, which deals with accounts and audit. Now, these two chapters basically cover the financial aspect, how companies maintain their books, prepare financial statements, or who audits them, right? Then you have chapter 11 and 12, which deals with directors and board meetings. Now, these chapters focus on who can become a director, what qualifications are required, what powers do directors hold, what are their duties. So, this is a core area for exam, especially when questions are based on scenarios which are involving board meetings or compliance lapses. Then you have winding up, which is in your chapter 20. This chapter deals with how companies are closed, either voluntarily or compulsorily. So, understanding the difference between two types of winding up and the process involved is very important from an application based perspective. So rather than spreading yourself thin across the entire act, it's better to focus on these high yield chapters. Make sure you understand the key concepts in each and you do not waste time getting stuck in rare or complex legal provisions that are not relevant for your exam. Now, let's talk about how to study. The way to study these chapters effectively is by using simple definitions with examples, right? By breaking down processes into steps. For example, forming a company under Section 7, you need to file forms. Then, second step is to attach MOA and AOA, and then getting approval from ROC, right? Then, understanding who is responsible, right? Like auditors being appointed at the AGM under Section 139. And lastly, and very importantly, where you practice your MCQs and practice questions. So practice all your MCQs, your case style questions, your PYQs, not just the definitions. For example, who signs the auditor's report? Which meeting must be held within 6 months of the financial year end? So this is the way you can cover these chapters or you can study these chapters effectively, also ensuring that you're actually retaining what you're studying, right? Here's something important. You do not need to memorize all the sections, just 6 to 8 high frequency ones. Some of the examples I have listed here. For example, clause 20 of section 2 basically defines company. Clause 68 defines private company. Section 7 talks about incorporation. Section 96 talks about AGM. Section 139 talks about auditor appointment. Section 123 talks about dividend declaration. So pick only those sections which are relevant, which are crucial from the perspective of the examination, which are crucial, which are basically, which lays the foundation for the Companies Act. Only those section numbers are required to be learned. Now, here are some bonus tips to make your preparation smoother. One thing that has worked for me a lot many times is basically writing a paragraph summary for each chapter in your own words, right? Then another thing is using diagrams. Use diagrams like showing the hierarchy of meetings like board, AGM, EGM, etc. Use case based examples, right? Like a company missing the AGM deadline and then facing penalties, right? Use practical examples. Make flashcards, right? For definitions as well as important sections. And then you can also watch the visual explainers on YouTube for incorporation and compliance processes. Let me give you two quick scenarios to show how this act works in real life. Scenario number one, incorporation. A fintech startup drafts its MOA and AOA, applies to ROC under Section 7, and receives its certificate of incorporation. Scenario number two could be about audit. Let's say a company forgets to appoint an auditor at its AGM. So, as per Section 139, the board steps in. This can be, again, a test worthy question. Then, if I had to take up a scenario, let's say for winding up. So, a company unable to pay its debts opts for voluntary winding up. Know when this is allowed and who oversees it, right? So these are the ways you can sort of develop quick scenarios to understand how the act actually works in real life. Now, to wrap up, do not let the length of the Companies Act scare you, right? Focus on practical understanding, right? And not legal complexity. Use exam focused techniques like summarizing real world examples, that is, practical examples, targeted section memorization, right? And then avoid getting stuck in legalese. The exam wants to test your conceptual clarity, not your ability to quote the law, because you're not a lawyer. You do not have an LLB degree. That is not what is required out of you. This is how we help you prepare smarter and faster at IXAM-B. We have conceptual video lessons, right, to simplify tough topics. We have filtered study notes to cut the clutter. We give you live doubt sessions with expert faculties for real time clarity for all the subjects that are coming in your exams. Then you have assignment based learning, which strengthens your application. And to top it all, you have concept checks, you have chapter and section texts, you have mock exams, everything you need to practice, revise, and crack your exam confidently. So iExamB, basically, we here at iExamB, we basically designed the course to help you prepare 50% faster. So you can download the iExamB app now and you can get started. That's it for today's video. If you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more smart legal prep tips. Let me know in the comments if you would like a PDF summary or want a video on another act. And if you want guided preparation, mock tests, and doubt clearing sessions, check out our courses in the description below. See you in the next one.